All right, welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get you right up to speed on stories that really matter. And sometimes, like today, ones with a bit of a twist. So today we're tackling a headline that might make your skin crawl a bit. Literally. There's been a rare human case reported in the U.S. of a flesh-eating parasite. It's called the New World screwworm. Now, okay, before you panic, federal officials are being very, very clear on this. The risk to public health, right here in the United States, it's considered extremely low.
That's right. Very low immediate risk.
But, don't let that low risk make you think this isn't a really fascinating story and actually a crucially important one. So our mission for this deep dive, figure out what this creature actually is, why it's suddenly back in the headlines after, well, decades of being eradicated from the U.S., and what kind of cutting-edge stuff is happening right now to stop it coming back. Especially because there's a pretty big outbreak happening down in Central America. We want you to walk away from this really understanding what's going on, the silent biological battle being fought for us.
Exactly. And it's more than just a creepy biological footnote. This story has some pretty profound implications. We're talking potentially huge impacts on agriculture, our economy, and yeah, even the wider public health picture. Even with that low immediate human risk, it really underscores the need for constant vigilance and some pretty innovative thinking. It's kind of perfect example, actually, of how, global travel and everything being connected can bring back these challenges we thought were, well, long gone.
Absolutely. A really good point. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this, starting with the thing that put it back on everyone's radar, this unexpected return. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, they recently announced this first U.S. travel-associated human case, and it was found in a patient in Maryland. The key detail here, though, the patient had just been to El Salvador, and that's an area dealing with an active outbreak right now. So this wasn't, random.
No, not at all. It was clearly imported.
Right, a direct import. Kind of a stark reminder of how connected everything is, isn't it?
Definitely.
And the Maryland Department of Health, working with the CBC, they moved fast. They confirmed this travel link back on August 4th. That quick action meant they could trace it, figure out the source, and, deal with it right away to stop any spread from this particular case inside the U.S.
And that speed is precisely why officials are saying the immediate public health risk is so low. Andrew G. Nixon, he is an HHS spokesperson, was really clear. It's an isolated case. He specifically stressed, that the risk to the general public here is very low. He even mentioned folks in Michigan, for example, are safe for now. No reported cases there, human or animal, in 2025.
Okay, good to know.
But, and this is important, it's not like they're just shrugging it off. Even with low human risk, federal agencies are putting extensive preventative measures in place. Why? Because they get the potential danger. The real worry isn't necessarily a big human outbreak. It's the parasite getting a foothold again in our environment. Think about the U.S. livestock industry. That's where the potential for devastation really lies.
Right.
Imagine this, silent biological invader that could just wipe out herds. That's the kind of scenario that has the alarm bells ringing, even from one human case.
That makes sense. That distinction is really key. It's about protecting things on a much bigger scale. Okay, so let's peel back the layers then. The star of the show.
Yeah.
The screwworm itself.
Yeah.
What is this thing beyond the scary headlines?
Yeah, let's get into the biology a bit.
So here's where it gets, well, really interesting and maybe a little unsettling, honestly. We're talking about the larvae, basically, the maggots of this fly. It's about the size of a housefly. The scientific name is Cochleomia hominivorax, and that name tells you a lot.
Hominivorax.
Yeah, it literally translates to man-eater. So this isn't just any fly maggot. It has a very specific and pretty aggressive way of surviving. The female flies, they're the ones. They lay their eggs in open wounds, even small cuts, or mucous membranes, think eyes, nose of any warm-blooded animal.
Any warm-blooded vertebrate, yeah. So mammals, birds.
And humans, unfortunately, yeah. Any vulnerable spot is basically a target.
And here's the truly, gruesome part and why it's such a threat. Unlike a lot of maggots that eat dead tissue, help clean wounds.
Right, like the ones used medically sometimes.
Exactly. These New World screwworm larvae, they feed voraciously on healthy, living tissue. They burrow deeper and deeper, making the wound bigger. The condition itself is called myiasis. And it's a truly horrible process. You're talking about something literally eating living flesh from the inside out.
Yeah.
If you don't treat it, the host animal or human can actually die, usually within 1 to 2 weeks. From the tissue damage or secondary infections, shock.
Wow. How is it treated then?
Treatment is pretty painstaking. You need careful wound cleaning, obviously, and then surgical removal of every single larva. Sometimes they use topical pesticides, too, to kill any stragglers. And while human cases like this one are rare, think about the impact on livestock. That's where it's historically been devastating.
Right, the economic impact.
Huge. Infestations mean animals lose weight, milk production drops, meat quality suffers, breathing gets messed up, and of course, animals die. It can cause massive losses for farmers, ranchers, and potentially ripple right through the food supply chain.
That is a chilling picture.
Yeah.
Really makes you understand why this tiny insect is such a massive deal. It sounds like something from a horror movie, but it's real. But you mentioned historically. This isn't the first time the U.S. has battled this, right? The name screwworm itself kind of sounds like something from an old agricultural war.
Oh, absolutely. We have dealt with this before, and very successfully, actually.
Yeah, it's quite an impressive historical fact. The U.S. Congress noted that the fly was completely eradicated from the United States by 1966. That was a huge deal.
Monumental.
And Mexico managed it too. In the 1970s, they pushed that eradication zone further south. It was this massive public health win and an agricultural one too. Probably one of the biggest pest management success stories ever, really.
And what's truly fascinating here, just a brilliant piece of science and ingenuity, is how they did it back then.
Okay, tell us.
They used something called the sterile insect technique, or SIT. Basically, the U.S. flew planes over the affected areas, the hotspots, and just dropped billions and billions of sterile male flies.
Sterile flies, how does that work?
So they mass-reared these male screwworm flies in special facilities. Then they zapped them with just enough radiation to make them sterile, but still, healthy enough to fly around and meet.
Okay.
Then, when these sterile males mated with the wild female flies out there, no offspring, no viable eggs, it just breaks the reproductive cycle.
Wow, that's elegant, actually.
It really is. It essentially caused the wild population to crash. It was pioneered by scientists like Edward Nippling and Raymond Bushland, truly revolutionary work for its time. And it didn't just help the U.S., it kind of changed pest management globally. It showed you could control insects without just dumping chemicals everywhere, a biological solution.
So that technique pushed it out of North America entirely.
Correct. Pushed it down into Central America. And for a while, it seemed like the job was done there, too. Eradication happened in Central America in the early 2000s. But here's the resurgence part. Recently, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, they've all reported cases again. There's definitely an ongoing and seemingly expanding outbreak in that region now.
So it's creeping back north.
It seems that way. And that just highlights the challenge, doesn't it? Maintaining eradication is tough when one infected animal, or even a person traveling, can bring it right back across a border. The fight's never really over. Requires constant watching.
That makes total sense. So this isn't just history repeating, it's an active concern right now at our border, especially if it's moving up through southern Mexico, as reported. It's basically knocking on the door again.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, okay, what does this mean for us today? What's the new battle plan? How are we gearing up for this now?
Well, the federal response shows are taking it very seriously. They're not waiting for it to cross the border.
Right. You mentioned Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins back in June announced new USDA plans.
That's right. A major investment. $8.5 million for a domestic New World screwworm sterile fly dispersal facility. They're building our own production line, essentially.
Okay, where's this going to be?
It's going to be built at Moore Air Base. That's in Edinburgh, Texas. Very strategic location, only about 20 miles from the Mexico border. Right in a key area for monitoring potential fly movement. Lots of livestock down there, too.
And when will it be ready?
The plan is for it to be completed by the end of 2025, so relatively soon. That'll let them ramp up the sterile fly production and dispersal quickly if needed.
So the same basic strategies as before, but modernized.
Exactly. Building on what worked so well last time, but using today's technology for efficiency and precision. Once it's running, this facility lets the USDA produce and then, aerially disperse potentially billions of these sterile male flies right along the border region and into northern Mexico as well. These sterile males go out, mate with the wild females.
And no viable offspring. Break the cycle again.
Precisely. It acts like a biological barrier, a firewall to stop the spread north. And connecting this to the bigger picture, Secretary Rollins really nailed the importance. She said, and I'm quoting here, "The United States has defeated NWS before, and we will do it again. We do not take lightly the threat NWS poses to our livestock industry, our economy, and our food supply chain.
That really puts it in perspective. It's not just about the flies.
Not at all. It's a critical defense line.
Hmm.
For animal health, yes, but fundamentally for protecting huge economic interests and keeping our food supply stable and affordable. We're talking potentially billions, with a B, billions of dollars in losses if this parasite got reestablished here. Think about ranchers in Texas, Arizona, California, all across the South. Livestock losing weight, lower milk yields, vet bills skyrocketing, animals dying. It's a nightmare scenario.
A silent threat with very loud potential consequences.
Absolutely. So this new facility, it's like an advanced early warning system combined with our first line of biological defense. It really shows the power of science in protecting not just health, but, our whole economic structure, our way of life, really.
Wow. Okay. What an incredible journey we've taken just now. We started with this surprising human case in Maryland that kind of put the screwworm back on the public radar. Then we dug into what it actually is, this pretty gruesome but fascinating parasite with its man-eating larvae.
Definitely memorable.
Then we looked at the history, that amazing story of eradication in the U.S. using the sterile insect technique. Brilliant stuff. And now we see these really innovative, high-tech efforts happening right now at our border to keep it from coming back. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, of the need for constant vigilance.
Constant vigilance, yeah.
And relentless science, proactive defense,
Yeah.
protecting ourselves and our economy from these threats we kind of thought were, relics of the past.
Indeed. And maybe it leaves us with a bigger question to think about, For all of us, how do we balance things?
Balance what?
Well, we live in this incredibly connected world, right? Global travel, trade, huge benefits there. But how do we balance that with the absolute need to protect our own ecosystems, our agriculture, our economies from these kinds of reemerging biological threats? Threats like the screwworm that actually use those connections to spread. It just forces us to keep thinking about that complex interplay, human activity, the health of the environment globally, and the advanced science we need to keep developing and deploying just to stay one step ahead.
That's a really important point.
Because it's a constant battle. In biology, gone forever. Well, that's rarely ever, truly forever. It requires ongoing effort.